What's up, Control Freaks, and welcome back to the Control Freak Podcast. I am your host, Les Alex, and today's episode I have on Mr. Toolshed, aka Sean Gallagher, to talk Lotus Control and where it stacks up with the current Pioneer metagame. What's up?
Hey, what's up? Thanks for having me. Much appreciated. What a great introduction, by the way.
Hey.
That was very well done.
I try. You know, we're doing it live, so
right.
There's no post-editing here.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, everybody, for watching. If you are watching live, I do appreciate it. We're streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, so make sure to like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff on all those platforms if you are watching live. If you're not and you want to, go follow me on those platforms. All those links and everything will be in the description below. If you're listening on the podcast app, I appreciate you as well. But what are you doing? Go on, watch live. We stream this pretty much every single Sunday night. But before we do get started, we've got to do a little housekeeping, pay the bills, as they say. But before we jump into it, again, I do want to shout out and say thank you to my 3 newest patrons from this past week, Ben Hawley, I hope I'm saying that right, Zachary Houchin, and Christopher Perkins. Thank you all so much. If you enjoy the podcast and my content in general and would like to support it directly for less than $1 an episode, you can do so by heading on over to patreon.com/LesAlex. Every patron receives an awesome Control Freak sticker along with other perks based on whichever level you support at. So I just posted my Patreon exclusive sideboard guide about Azorius Control in Pioneer. You can go check that out. And coming soon to my Patreon will be Standard. I've been in the shop, shopping it around and trying it out. I think Azorius Control and Standard's really sweet right now. It's one of the better decks in the format, and I'm super stoked. And as a reminder, the podcast is on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, Stitcher, basically wherever you could possibly listen to a podcast, it is available. And if you want to help the podcast out and me, just in general, if you like me, make sure to head on over to either Apple Podcasts or Spotify or both and give a 5-star review. And if you're on Apple Podcasts, just say a couple of nice words about the podcast. It would mean the world. It helps out the algorithm. The way they distribute the podcast to people and suggest it to people is based on basically just that, how many positive reviews you have. So check that out. And make sure to check out quietspeculation.com where you can go read and watch my weekly pieces. I do a article video hybrid for them and their YouTube channel, so go check that out. This week I'll be playing a pretty spicy number. It's not out yet, so I'm not going to say what it is, but definitely want to be on the lookout for it. And if you want to chop it up with me elsewhere, you can follow me on Twitter at LesAlex over there, on Discord, and you can join the Discord. It's free, open to everybody, and then there is a special spot for patrons. But yeah, all right, consider the bills paid. Let's jump into it. Before we get started, though, talking about Lotus Control, not Lotus Combo, but Lotus Control, let's get a little bit of your background. For the folks that haven't ever heard of you, which if they haven't, I don't know. Do they know? Are they really paying attention to? Are they paying attention to competitive Pioneer play? Because your name currently you are 5th on the NRG Series 2023 leaderboard. But yeah, let us talk about how you first started playing Control.
All right,
You're like, all right.
Oh yeah, I'll crack the knuckles real quick. I'll jump back into a time machine. So I first started playing Magic when I was a lot younger and a lot poorer. But one of my first big investments was into Melissa Del Toro's Wolf Run Bant deck. I don't know, Alex, were you playing back then?
Oh yeah. Okay. I remember that deck.
So I'm going to pull up this deck list here real quick. But we have some big hits such as everyone's favorite Thragtusk. Who doesn't love that card?
Oh yeah.
And then format staple Centaur Healer.
Yes.
3 mana, 3/3 gains you 3 life. A lot of threes on that one.
I'm gonna bring this up. Here it is.
Yeah. So got some nice old school bangers on this one.
Augur of Bolas. Anybody?
Popper All-Star, Augur of Bolas. Look at 3 cards, put them on the bottom of your library. And then we've got the Return to Ravnica block constructed instants and sorceries here. Azorius Charm, Detention Sphere, some Dissipates. I don't remember why we were playing Dissipate, but I know there was Flash. It's probably because there's some
flashback. Yeah.
Yeah, I forget.
Well,
there was some Burial Rites.
Yeah, I was gonna say, wasn't there a really sweet rights deck, like the French rights deck? Yeah.
Is that what Yeah, I don't know if it was at that time, but I remember there was a time in Standard where we were on Burial Rites and Angel of Serenity.
Yeah.
So that probably got pretty old, but so we got some Dissipates, Farseek, and then the nice Chef's Kiss, everyone's favorite, Sphinx's Revelation.
Oh, yes.
Everyone either love it or hate it.
Love it. If you're listening to this podcast, you love it.
Yeah. So the old 4 Sphinx's Revelation, count them 4.
Yes.
The best win condition. Why win the game when you just draw more cards?
Hey, truer words never spoken.
Yeah, exactly. We got a couple 1 and 2s here, a Syncopate, a couple Think Twice, but this is the deck that got me into not only playing Control, but playing kind of competitive Magic. I was kind of, working at Target at the time and couldn't really afford to buy anything good. But my friend was like, hey, I have 20 dual lands, 20 shock lands and buddy lands. Like, do you want to buy the rest of the deck? You can play the deck. And I said, sign me up.
Absolutely.
And
snap it off. I love how you, sorry to interrupt, but I love how you have the 4th Centaur healer in the sideboard. Like,
yeah, you never know. You can't leave home without it.
Red deck wins was a thing back then.
Yeah, I feel like there was a good red deck. I mean,
Ash Zealot was in it, I believe. And I think there
was like a Lightning Mauler deck too. Like Lightning, I can't remember exactly. There was like Lightning Mauler, Flinthoof Boar. Like that was a standard deck at one point.
Yes.
Yeah. So I know the Return to Ravnica like kind of was all throughout Standard for that entire time period because, as everyone knows, the gold guild cards are just always very good.
Oh yeah.
So a lot of bangers here.
This deck was definitely sweet though, and I mean, legitimately, Restoration Angel Thragtusk was actually very good.
Yeah.
And that's certainly like not to be scoffed at all. But yeah, this deck, I remember this deck very, very vividly. It was very good. Thragtusk, at least it wasn't like the Rhino where you would just stare at each other. At least they could attack through each other and they would die.
Yeah. Definitely a lot of it was funny because like if you played a lot of the mirror, it was like, all right, I'll Wolf Run my Thragtusk for like +7. It's like, all right, I'll Azorius Charm it. All right, I have a 3/3 left. Go. That's like what the mirror looked like. It was like you're just cranking out Wolf Runs every turn. It was just, the mirror was so funny. But yeah, this deck is kind of where I watch it get played. I'm like, I want to be doing that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this
absolutely.
And then I kind of posted another one here.
Oh yeah.
We have this is another.
This is the deck that got me
Yeah.
to love Magic the Gathering.
I think this one rustles everyone's jimmies.
Oh my gosh. If you are a control mage, here we go. It's about to be on screen if you're watching.
Yeah, I'll let you talk about this one.
There it is. I mean, this is my favorite deck of all time. If you were playing in 2015, I think it was Pro Tour Magic 2015 actually. Ivan Flock's Flock. We've got, of course, no win. I mean, essentially no win condition. Our win condition was Elixir of Immortality, and then just Sphinx's Revelation a million times, and to make your opponent concede. But in the sideboard, this list doesn't have a sideboard, but you would play. Oh my gosh, I can't remember the name of the card, but
there was the 2-card combo. The quote unquote combo was Nyx Fleece Ram and Archangel.
Yes, that's the name of it. I'm so bad with name, but yes, because you would gain a life, +1/+1, grow your team, attack with that. Like it was great.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Then there was like the sideboard, like 2 Elspeths or something like that. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I know it had like some Elspeths, some gains, saves, negates, like the normal stuff. But the main deck is what rustles everyone's jimmies.
Oh yeah, this deck Quicken into Supreme Verdict. Are you joking me? Like,
oh yeah, the original Settle the Wreckage.
Yes. Oh yeah, no joke. yeah, this and there's no way to play around it, right?
Mhm.
Like they just, oh, you want to attack with one? Doesn't matter. They're all dead. Like,
Yeah, back then it was pretty. There wasn't a lot of like. There's no Teferi Time Raveler in
yeah.
2015.
Boros Charm was a way to stop it, obviously, by giving your
Yeah.
creatures indestructible. But no, this deck was definitely this made, I'm sure, a whole new generation of Magic players into control players, myself included. I loved, so the standard before this was like Delver of Secrets,
Mhm.
and I loved playing that. But this deck right here basically spawned the control freak. Like me, I am here because of this deck.
Right.
So that's
Yeah.
awesome.
It was, yeah, for me, it's definitely like the whole deck, great. I love the whole thing, but it was the specific card Sphinx's Revelation.
Yes.
If I had Hollowed Fountain in my deck, I was trying to find a way to fit Sphinx's Revelation in my deck, whether it's
1000%.
modern, standard, whatever.
Pioneer, even like when I heard Pioneer as a format, the first place I went was like, all right, we're just playing for Sphinx's Revelations, right? Like,
yeah.
Unfortunately, it hasn't stood the test of time, but hey, Memory Deluge is a hell of a card. So
yeah, I was close to playing one because I don't like. We'll talk about it a little bit later, but
sure.
Patrick
Oh,
Reed has
really?
the finale of Prompt,
Yes.
like the blue finale in his deck. I was like,
Yes.
I feel like Sphinx's Revelation could go in this spot, and I was like
Certainly.
very close to trying it one time, but I never ended up pulling the trigger. But it's definitely an outdated card now, unfortunately. Which is crazy.
Which is crazy because
yeah,
look at what it does. It does everything. It keeps us alive and it draws us card. What more could a control player ask for, really?
Yeah, I think now the bar is your opponent can't cast instants. I think that's kind of what the blue-white people want nowadays.
That's very true. That's awesome. Yeah, the blue Dual Master J says the blue mirror went wild. It certainly did. It was just. How many draws in that standard did you have, like total? Like, oh my gosh. If you got in the draw bracket, you were just always playing against the mirror.
it was a weird time too, because I remember my team and I at the time, we had like figured out that there was like a correct number of cards that for every Sphinx Revelation I was supposed to let my opponent draw. And like as long as they weren't like revelating for like more than 4, it was like okay to let it go, because oftentimes the only card that ended up mattering in the mirror was Elixir. So if you were able to like set up like a quadruple counter spell over Elixir of Immortality turn, like that's what you ended up having to do. So you kind of just like let them draw as many cards as they wanted until it was like the end game crank it for 11 kind of thing.
Right. And yeah, I mean, so many counter wars would come over this little bottle, tiny little bottle. And it was. Oh man, this deck was so sick. All right, let's stop gushing over this beautiful masterpiece.
Yeah, that's the preamble, and now we're going to get into the second part of the podcast where we talk about the second iteration of this.
Absolutely. Before we do, though, we've got what is your favorite format currently?
Yeah. So as much as I want to say not Pioneer. Currently, it's Pioneer. My roommate hates me for it. I think that Pioneer is a pretty wide open format. Part of the reason I like it so much is I've found a lot of success in the format.
Yeah.
It's powerful enough where the cards that I like to play are good. The cards I don't like to play are still good, but I can beat them. Where it's not like in Modern where I don't want to play Teferi Time Raveler and I just lose to Teferi Time Raveler. It's not like that.
Yeah, you just stone cold lose.
Yeah, exactly. Pioneer, like you don't really. There's a lot of games you have agency in that in Modern you're just otherwise out of. So that's one reason I like Pioneer a lot. And then obviously Hollowed Fountain's good, so that definitely doesn't hurt things. So I would say Pioneer right now for sure.
Absolutely, I'm with you. I'm with you. Awesome. And then, what is the best format for Control in your opinion?
This is I kind of wrote down a sentence here. Now that I'm reading it, I don't know if I totally believe this anymore. I have to think about it. I have Pioneer written down. But after watching the challenge this weekend, boy, the One Ring might be one of the best control cards / aggro cards / mid-range cards printed in the last 10 years. So it probably will get thrown to a One Ring deck. There's even like legacy decks that are playing it now.
It's crazy.
Like Anurag had a sweet legacy deck that was like playing Uro Teferi the One Ring today.
Oh gosh.
And it's like,
awful.
you know, it's really good if your ring's on 4, you can just play another one, gain 3 life real quick. Like that looked good. But it's possible that the 1 ring and 4 color, like the 1 ring in the 4 color decks in Modern, is probably the best control decks right now.
Yeah,
we'll see how long that lasts. So.
Yeah, and I mean, the GOAT came out of retirement to just crush a challenge. Of course, I'm talking about Guillaume Wafatapa with just actual factual Azorius control in Modern, and you know he hadn't been. I don't think he was playing, or at least not in challenges or anything. And out of nowhere, he came and crushed another one. So
yeah, just had a free weekend one day and just decided, you know what, you got to show these kids what's up every once in a while.
Talk about Return of the King. Jeez.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah. Okay. So favorite format currently is Pioneer. Best format for Control. Currently, you believe it's still Pioneer, but let's give it a week or two. It might change to because of the 1 ring.
Yeah.
And,
boy, I haven't if you've been following along on Moto on Twitter, the fact that you can't find the card on Mana Traders / Card Hoarder, whatever rental service you're using,
shout out to Card Hoarder.
Kind of speaks to how powerful the card is, and that makes me a little concerned about Magic for the next few months. But we'll see. I mean, this is not the first time a card has been good. So
yep. All right. So with that being said, Pioneer, Lotus Control. That's what the whole podcast is about today. I know we had on Patrick Wu several weeks ago, and his first breakout monumental performance at the Canadian RC in Toronto was awesome. He definitely brought it to the forefront of the format, and then it kind of dipped a little bit, but now it's starting to have a resurgence. We're finally starting to see folks like you and Patrick as well, new iterations of the deck. So let me get it on screen real quick. We do have your current list of Lotus Control. If you want to take me through the major changes, and there's a green card in this deck. What gives?
I know. So I'll kind of touch on the main deck changes first, and then we'll jump into the sideboard here. But so main deck, you'll see a lot of pretty similar cards.
Absolutely.
Teferi, Wandering Emperor, Trawler, Proctor, all the normal suspects. But kind of the one thing that I've added, you're hovering over it, is that Impulse card.
Yes.
This is a card that it's a sleeper card. No one it's never broken or anything. But in this specific deck, after playing Patrick's original 75, I kind of wanted to turn the knob from his 7 of being a mana, cranking the mana up a little bit. I wanted to kind of crank up how fast I could get Lotus Fields going, and the best way for me to do that was Impulse.
Yep.
So I kind of cut a lot of the control aspects of the card. As you see, there's 0 counter magic. There's no Jawari disruptions. There's no sensors that Patrick has. So I like to call mine Blue-White Tron at this point. It's kind of his style, but cranked up to assembling Urzatron really quickly, and then kind of just casting those 6 and 7s as fast as possible.
I've only played 1 match with this list, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but it definitely plays more like the Lotus combo deck, where you're just literally trying to assemble Tron or get your Lotus Fields out there as quickly as possible. That way you can just start ending your opponent's turns and all the fun things, really.
Yeah, exactly. What every blue mage wants, and that's skipping your opponent's turns.
I want all the fun, right? You get none.
From my experience, Magic is a 0-sum game, so the more fun I'm having, the less my opponent's having. So yeah, you're right. You hit it right on the head. We're kind of trying to assemble Lotus Field plus Thespian Stage faster, and that's where those impulses come in. Now, we do an imitation of a blue-white controlled deck when that doesn't happen. Let's say we have a deep mulligan, or, our Thoughtseize or Necromentions get involved, or whatever. We can play a fair game, but it's not really what we're looking to do. It's kind of, suboptimal, and your deck is constructed to impulse for Lotus Field by turn 3 or 4.
Yeah, I was going to say, so speaking of mulligans, I think this is super crucial for people picking the deck up, and myself included. what does a good hand look like versus a bad hand look like? Because it's very generally speaking, you can still keep a Doomscar hand in the dark that doesn't produce, Lotus Field early. But what is a good hand versus a bad hand?
Yeah, so we'll kind of start on like both ends of the spectrum. We'll start with like what are we looking for in the Stone Cold Nuts, like the sevens, right?
Yeah.
Like our good sevens, where I would find us losing those games very difficult, and that's going to be Strict Proctor, 2 lands that make white mana, could be Hengegate Pathway, could be Hollowed Fawn, Irrigated Farmland, whatever, and then a Lotus Field. So that's going to allow us to play Proctor on 2 in some matchups, or wait until turn 3 to deploy it and then play Lotus Field. And then now we're going into turn 4 with 6 mana. So as you can see, that turns our Shark Typhoons, our Teferis, our Discontinuities on. What the deck is really trying to do, and what we're always trying to do, is getting to a point where we have at least 1 Lotus Field in play, and then Teferi starts untapping your Lotus Fields, where we can then not only make headway by ending the turn or wandering up other creatures, so we're kind of abusing the Teferi untapping of lands to march the ultimate as quickly as possible. And then that's, again, where Discontinuity comes in, where plus your Teferi to 5, skip their next turn, it goes to 6, do it again, that's at 7, now he's unkillable, basically.
Unkillable, yeah.
So we're a good Teferi ultimate deck, we're a good deck at buying time. So that's kind of what we're looking for on our, our good sevens. Generally, I would mulligan any hand on a 7 that doesn't produce a Lotus Field on 3.
So very similar to Lotus Combo. And obviously these two decks are similar in the fact that they play Lotus, but I've just been playing a ton of Lotus Combo recently. So that's why I'm trying to wrap my head around it. So that's definitely great to know.
So like I said, a lot of hands I'll mulligan on a 7 that don't have at least more than half the combo, so a Lotus Field or a Discontinuity plus a Proctor. Mulligan autos. This is a deck where, as long as we do our Lotus Field plus our Strict Proctor or Discontinuity thing, that turn 4 is just so explosive for us, whether it's turn 4 Farewell, which if you're doing this from home, Farewell has 6 mana, but doing it on turn 4, it feels like you're cheating some games, and it's pretty nuts. Like, it shuts the door on mono green quickly. The black-red decks have a hard time beating it because their way to grind you out is Fables and Reckoner Bankbusters. So it just lets you have such an explosive turn 4. So if I didn't have those pieces in my opener, I'm mulliganing. A 6, I'd be a lot more willing to keep a hand that doesn't have a Lotus Field, but I would want a way to find it, whether it's Memory Deluge or Impulse. And then in certain matchups, Strict Proctor actually has other tech.
Oh my God, dude. It's against mono white humans, like it just shuts up. They don't do anything.
It's shocking. I like played the card, once or twice. I'm like, oh, it's just gonna do my thing. And then I played it against mono green, and they go Oath of Nissa, and I'm like, oh, you just don't do anything.
It literally just they wasted a mana.
Yeah, it's like, oh, okay. What else does this do? It shuts off Boros Convoke. It shuts off Bushwhacker. It shuts off Thraben Inspector. Against spirits, it stops their spirits from getting pumped sometimes, and stops Spell Queller. Like Strict Proctor, like low key, has a lot of text.
Very good. Yeah.
Also, it's like a 1/3 flyer, so it blocks Fable tokens
for no reason. Why is it flying? But like, fine.
So just kind of some weird stuff with the deck. But looking for those impulses on a deep mulligan, and kind of like Tron, don't be scared to mulligan to 6, mulligan to 5 if your hands aren't that great. Again, as long as we have a good, consistent turn 3 Lotus Field, and then into that explosive turn 4, like you're going to be cooking. There's not a lot of decks that keep up with Lotus Fields untapping. Like you're actually spending like 12 mana on some turns, and it's like no deck keeps up with that.
Not a shot. And if you ever get to turn 4 mono green, it's just the greatest. If you get to turn 4 Farewell. They just scoop. Like, what are they doing? The game's over.
They just lost 9 Devotion. It's like, okay, they have a Kiora on 5, and it's like, all right, good luck. And I have a Teferi in play. It's like, all right, I'm gonna start skipping your turns now.
They have like 4. They have like 4 lands or whatever, and you're just like 12 mana. Like,
exactly.
Excellent. Love it. I love making mono green players scoop and cry and scoop and cry.
Like I said, nothing better than me having all the fun and my opponent having zero.
Absolutely.
That's the best way to play Magic, I think.
Yes, sir. Yeah, so that's kind of I just wanted to talk about that too, because this isn't a traditional control deck, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it is very, like, as you said, to your point, Lotus Field, having it on the battlefield, this deck's going to play way different if you never find it. You're just going to lose.
Yeah.
It can grind, but it makes it, it's hard mode.
Yeah, that was kind of one of the differences between what Patrick and I were doing. Patrick has cards that kind of let you play that, quote unquote control game, the Jawar Disruption, the Sensors, those kinds of cards. I just kind of gave up on it. It was like, your control plan is just so like risky to lean on. It's just like,
right.
I'll just try to Tron people, and when it works, you just like blow them out of the water.
Absolutely. So let's take a look at the sideboard. Obviously I had mentioned and gave you, a little bit of crap about the the green card, the Dragon Lord Jamoka, a card that I don't know about you, but in my previous experience, I hate this card. This card is not fun to control mages typically, but we're playing it here.
Mm-hmm.
What is this for? And what is this for? What does this come in against?
Yeah, so let me, first of all, I'll preface this with, I'm with you. I hate these ham-fisted Magic cards. Hullbreaker Horror, Dragon Lord Jamoka, Pearl Lake Ancient, get them out. Yes. I don't want to deal with that, and I hate these Magic cards. But let me tell you, turn 4 Dragon Lord Jamoka, woo, baby.
We're cooking now.
Yeah, if you thought turn 6 Dragon Lord Jamoka was good, turn 4 Jamoka, and then you start skipping the turn, it's good. The main reason the card ends up being in the deck is I'm not 100% sure, but getting to the point now where I think it's kind of a relic of the past of we needed a card that was just kind of like a silver bullet for Spirits, because Spirits was a matchup that historically we were bad into.
Yes.
But that was the Patrick Wu version with, less Shark Typhoons and more like weird counter spells and stuff like that. Now that my version's like Shark Typhoon has always been pretty good against Spirits, and I'm cranked up to 4. And again, my deck just like can make 4/4 Sharks on turn 4, and it's really hard for them to beat.
Yeah.
But the Dragon Lord Jamoka was pretty much in the sideboard for that card as a silver bullet. And then obviously it has text against blue, white, has text against the Drake stacks. Yeah. If you look at sideboards of these blue X decks in the format, everyone's got 2 Disdainful Strokes, 3 Mystical Disputes, and Aether Gust. It's just a bunch of random hodgepodge, counter spells. And Dragon Lord Jamoka just says, nah, dude.
Does not care.
Yeah, we'll just kind of skip that part of the game.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, obviously, this is great against control. Mm-hmm. Spirits as well. So, yeah, I mean, and the Zoomer Drake deck that's popping up.
Yeah.
That makes basically any deck that has flying, really.
Yeah. Turns out 7 toughness, quite a lot.
Yeah, that's so much. Why? I've always thought that. Why 7? Anyways.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll make a kind of the friend of my enemy kind of deal here.
Right.
Yeah. So going through the rest of the sideboard, I'll just go through it real quick. We got 2 Aether Gusts, 4 Vetoes, 2 Lantern of the Lost, 2 March of Otherworldly Light, 2 Mystical Dispute, and then 1 Thought Distortion. This is another card that gives me nightmares. If you want to talk about what each of these come in against.
And
kind of philosophy behind them.
Yeah, so pre-boarded against, we'll just kind of like go over the big hitters in the form of like mono green. We're pre-boarded pretty good against them, and then out of the sideboard, we're just kind of closing the door on the matchup. The 2 Aether Gusts and 4 Dovin's Vetoes makes it so we can kind of let a lot of middle things resolve, and then we just want as many cards to answer Karn as possible.
Yes, Karn is
bad
news.
Yeah, a lot of ways that this deck will lose, and this is true in every matchup, is if you get your Lotus Field part of the deck shut off, your deck kind of like functions at instead of a 10, it's like functioning at a 6 or a 5, and it's like you played Lotus Field, you know how it goes. It's like you have cards dedicated to beating the hate cards, and it's like, Well, it turns out these hate cards are quite good against Lotus Field. It's like Damping Sphere, Alpine Moon.
Alpine Moon, yes.
Yeah, both pretty annoying. So the Dovin's V2 helps answer that. And that's actually why we also have the March of the Otherworldly Lights. That's there mainly to, not only is it a removal spell for creatures, but it's there for a cheap way to kill Damping Sphere and Alpine Moon.
And I gotta say, this is the best March of Otherworldly Light deck that I've ever seen, because we're doing it for like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I mean, Lotus Field helps make March just so good.
Yeah, the March of the Otherworldly literally just becomes point and delete at that point, which is pretty great.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so the March of the Otherworldly Light, that's kind of like if you watched Raja Suleiman's deck. He played a lot of my main deck, and then he made that tweak in the sideboard, which I really liked, and I've adapted it here. There's just more ways to beat the Alpine Moons of the Damping Sphere. The Lantern of the Lost is probably like I would say the weakest sideboard card. If you look at how our deck's constructed, we have 4 Memory Deluges, and that's kind of our gas pedal.
Yes.
And putting Rip in our deck where we need to be casting 4 Memory Deluges is like, pretty harmful. So
it's like the days of Snapcaster Mage as a 4 of, and then you're bringing in like the 2 or 3 rips. And it's just like
that's exactly what it is.
we can just cut but like, what if we don't draw the rip? And then you have that weird tension of, well, how many do I keep in 2? And this just alleviates that problem, I think, pretty nicely.
Lantern of the Lost also, like, and when you play the games with the deck, you'll just realize that 2 mana kill their graveyard is like pretty doable.
Yeah.
A lot of times you'll have 2 mana early on in the game free because you're trying to set up Lotus Fields.
Right.
So you do have that laying around, so that's nice. And then, like you said, it's not Rip. And then we've got the the other big difference is I have 2 Mystical Disputes where Patrick has Narset's Reversal.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just like a dealer's choice kind of thing. I think that's kind of like the slot where you just pick whatever spell you want it to be. Narset's Reversal, Disdainful, whatever.
I've liked Summary Dismissal.
That's another good one,
because it's good against creativity. It's good against a lot of decks. It's good in the mirror, especially when you're cheating on mana. Like, what's 4 mana when you have 12 mana available, right? Like, but no, I could definitely see the argument for Mystical Dispute. And then Thought Distortion.
Another one of those stupidly designed ham-fisted Magic cards that I hate playing against, but boy, is it fun to cast.
Why can't it be countered? I don't understand.
I don't know.
But yeah, obviously this is great in Control Mirror. Are there any other matchups you really bring this in against? Or?
I mean, it's the worst part is it's almost like a liability against some of these blue decks too, because like the more you look at the format, it's like it feels like everyone has Narset's Reversal. So I'm literally playing a league for like a 5-0 the other day, and I'm playing against I can't remember if it was Drake's or Phoenix. I can't remember, but I cast it against them like, oh, this will end the game, and they Narset's Reversaled me, and I'm like, I guess I'm dead.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah, so the original list had 2. I've trimmed it down to 1 because it ends up just being really a liability in some matchups. The big one, like you said, is the control decks. I bring it in against Lotus Field, but it's not even that great there because, again, they have – how many Narset's Reversal do you play in Lotus Field? 2, 3?
2 typically, 2.
Yeah, but that's just another card when you get a Narset's Reversal, you feel silly, but it's a nice one to kind of close the door against the blue-white X decks and stuff like that.
Absolutely. I mean, the deck is sweet. If you like playing Tron/Control, you're definitely gonna like this one. So we kind of talked about how the changes you've made versus Patrick Wu's original list, but how does this, in your opinion, stack up to the current meta in Pioneer? Yeah,
so it's kind of a good question. I think the format's like in a pretty good spot, and I don't know how much Pioneer you've actually been able to play recently. I get to play a lot for not only the NRG series, but the RCs and stuff like that. But at the higher level events, mono green is a pretty popular matchup.
Yeah.
And I played it 4 times at the last RC. So if you expect to play against mono green, this is a good deck. I mean, you're on starting gate, you're at 3 main deck farewells, which historically has been like one of the best cards.
So good.
Them. Yeah.
So good.
So starting there, you're at a pretty good spot. And then, If you're expecting a lot of blue-white mirrors, you kind of just like are playing like the same cards, but you're just like you don't have any counter spells game one. But instead of playing counter spells, you just play Lotus Fields and you're casting deluges while they're on 2 mana.
Right.
And you're just like casting way more spells and more mana worth of spells than they are. So kind of overpower them. So if you're expecting a lot of green, a lot of like the blue mid-range decks, Phoenix, Creativity, stuff like that, you can kind of, big dog them that way. The tough matchups that if you expect a lot of like spirits.
Yeah, spirits, even with a traditional Azorius control, it's not a good matchup.
Yeah.
But
exactly.
Do you think this is worse?
I think if you're not on 4 Shark Typhoons, it's definitely worse. The more Shark Typhoons you have, I would say it's getting closer to 50%. Right. But we're not there yet. I would have to play like 6 Shark Typhoons for it to get even close. 4 plus the 2 Mystical Disputes doesn't really cut it yet. Right. Jamoka does help, but I'm at the point where do I need to dedicate 2 slots in my sideboard to try to get the matchup to 50%?
That's the age-old question, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Do you slam the door against your good matchups, or do you try to get to 50% against your just really terrible matchups?
Yeah, exactly. And it's like that's really the only place I want that card as like a silver bullet. And it's like I could just like hope to not play spirits or play something better. Like Baneslayer Angel's like almost better, I think, against spirits.
Yep.
So there's like better cards too that you can play. So if you expect a lot of spirits, I would maybe like think twice. Callback.
Okay. And that's a callback.
So maybe like think about it. Sacrifice is a matchup that like I've played probably twice now. Like that's another matchup, blue-white. Like, yeah, it's weird because like at the deck list, you look at it, you're like, this matchup like super easy. Yeah. And then it's like you play it, you're like, okay, they have 5 more cards than me, and I'm at 3 life, and they have
what happened here? Yeah, how did this happen?
I farewelled them last turn. It's like how is this going on? It's like they just they outvalue you at every corner. It's like the way to make that matchup better is to play like temporary lockdown.
I played. Oh my god. When I was playing like the week after the RC or the week of the RC, I played an RCQ and I played all 4 lockdowns. Mm-hmm. Holy smokes! That card just it's so good against all those little critter decks like Boros Convoke. Rona combo.
So lockdown when it's good is very good, and sacrifice is one of those matchups where it's a 10 out of 10, and unfortunately our deck just can't afford to play it. We're just not built to cast it very well. So sacrifice is just a matchup that blue-white historically like you need to have specific tools to be good against. Mm-hmm. So those are the 2 matchups that if you expect a lot of, I would maybe think twice. Think about the deck choice. And then, the difference between mine and Patrick's list is I'm more Tronny, he's more control. That's like a dealer's choice kind of thing, however you like to play Magic. I like consistency. I like a lot of 4-ofs. I don't like a lot of these random 1-ofs in my decks. Because, like, some of these cards you really need to draw, and it's like, I need to draw my 1-out, or it's like, I'd rather just not have to deal with that. So that's one reason I'm a big fan of consistency in my deck.
Yeah, even in your sideboard, we've got no singletons except for the Thought Distortion.
Yeah, so exactly.
That rings true even in your sideboard. The Dream Trawler is a 1-of, but Dream Trawler.
Yeah. Raja and I talked about the Dream Trawler, and I think that it could be basically any blue or white card at random. I think we talked about it being like an Elspeth or like another March. Like it can be kind of anything. We tried it as a Dream Trawler and it was fine. Yeah. I've got my Dream Trawler Shielded Edict at one time and I was like, kind of not a big fan of that.
Not great. But like, I guess the argument is like if you have it as Elspeth, at least you have the tokens. But Dream Trawler is definitely much worse against edicts, and like obviously Liliana's just the worst thing possible if they play it right after you cast your Trawler.
Yeah, but the Trawler's like fine. Like some decks like struggle against it. That's great. But like even decks like Grease Fang can just like attack through it. Like they don't really care. Some decks just don't have to care about it. Rakdos is another one that could just like removal spell it a couple turns in a row and like beat you down.
have you considered Starheim Unleashed? Or I know there's people talking about it, but
that's another card. Exactly, that could be another card. The nice part about Starheim Unleashed too is it plays into the foretell cards. Like Patrick had like one hold for a while because, like, in my mind, I think if you're playing any foretell cards, you're probably supposed to play a second one so they don't always know. Yeah, they don't always know what it is, but I ended up foregoing that rule in this list. But Starheim Unleashed might be a good option because not only is it a foretell card, but it will just kill people very quickly.
Boy, does it.
Yeah. So that's
12 power, go.
Yeah, exactly. For those of you who've casted Treat the Angels, this is Treat the Angels on suspend, it feels like. So
yes, absolutely.
That's a nice
great one. That's a great way to explain it too.
Yeah. So that actually might be better. And then we, like I said, we flew around at the Elspeth, and then we were joking about Aetherling, and then I was like, wait, like, is Aetherling good? And then I was like, that card's too old, right? There's no way.
There's no way, right?
And then I like thought again. I'm like, oh no, is it Aetherling? So I don't think the answer is Aetherling. It might be
Starheim, right?
Yeah, that's what I mean. You like, and then you think about it's like, oh, it dodges removal and it kills people so fast, and I'm like, oh no.
Yeah. Analysis paralysis at that point.
Exactly.
Just like play what you had, like.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's funny.
So yeah, we're not 100% sure. I kind of like the idea of Starheim Unleashed. Actually, now you mention that, we had joked about it, and I hadn't put a lot of thought into it, but now I'm probably going to think about it. I'm going into St. Louis this weekend, and I gotta try to nail down what I want that slot to be. So might be a Starheim Unleashed now.
Hey, yeah, and I'm glad you said that because I would have totally blanked and forgot. I will be at NRG St. Louis playing with one of my buddies, and then one of a friend of a friend, right? So
an acquaintance? Does that make him an acquaintance?
Not even an acquaintance. I've never met this person, but
okay. So a potential enemy, you would say.
Yeah, maybe a friend of me. But yeah, I'm gonna be there, so that'll be fun. I'm stoked. You and I definitely have to link up and
for sure,
and do something, maybe go get some food or something. But
I'll be bringing my cube with me. So if you want a cube with us,
let's go.
It's a 16-person cube, so I want.
It's a wrap.
I want to try to get a 16-person draft going this weekend.
Oh my gosh, that'd be legendary.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just wanted to tell the listeners, if anybody is planning on going to NRG STL, I will be there. So feel free, if you see me, come up, say hey. I'll bring some stickers maybe, and we'll give out some stickers. Yeah,
I got a water bottle that needs some stickers, so you can throw me one. Absolutely.
So yeah, let's see, what is the next? On to the next. So there's a big question that I ask almost all of my guests. What is the future? What does the future of Azorius Control look like at this point to you?
Ooh, that is a fully loaded with all the toppings question. Are we talking Pioneer, all the formats? What do you think?
Let's stick to Pioneer for this episode.
Sure, we'll keep it short then. I got a nice little rant I go on. So in Pioneer, I think there's kind of three camps you can kind of sit in, right? There's traditional, like the 60 card deck that I got second place with at NRG, 60 card, no special cards, 4 make disappear, 4 Dovin's veto.
Yeah.
Very standard. You can do that kind of thing, right? So we'll call that level 1. And then you kind of got level 2, which is the Yorion decks, which is that plus Omen of the Sea, more 4s.
Like Team Handshakes list.
Yeah, exactly. The Wheezy deck, whatever you want to call it. So that's like level 2. And then you've got my version, which is kind of like over the top again, which is Lotus Field, Teferi, stuff like that. Yeah. So it's hard to really nail down, I would say, because we've kind of like did this whole like leveling up each other kind of thing.
There's like the iceberg of Azorius Control, basically.
So in my Azorius Control mind, I would say that I think the Lotus Field deck is a good starting point right now, but with how powerful the hate cards against the blue-white, the Lotus Field deck specifically, I would be hesitant to say that this is the future. This is a deck that the more hate cards people have, if they have, God forbid, double Dampus and double Alpine Moon or whatever, it's like, boy, we're going to have a hard time.
Yeah.
So I would be shocked if Lotus Field is the end goal. I think that the Yorion deck is probably the best version of actual blue-eye control.
Right.
Daniel Weiser, shout out to him. He beat me in the finals of NRG. He had a pretty stock list. The cool iteration that him and Greg Orange had was 2 copies of Rewind. Now, I'm personally not a fan of Rewind. I know some people that you and I interact with are Rewind, big massive stands. And it's like, boy, I'll be a stand until I get a Mystical Disputed or, Spell Queller or whatever one time. I'm like, yeah.
Oh, my God. Yeah. Spell Queller's like even worse.
Yeah. So, in terms of actual control, it's probably just Yorion. Yorion gives you, we played with it in Modern, the power to reset cards, leyline bindings when you need them, deleting legendary permanents off the battlefield by, if it's a Karn, you can pick up your leyline binding, legend rule a Karn, and then take it down again.
Yep.
So that's always powerful. And then the old, like playing your Omen of the Seas on 2, 3, and 4, and then God forbid you bounce all of them with Yorion against Black Red. It's like, all right, what kind of game are we playing where I'm scrying 2, 3 different times and drawing a card, right?
Right.
They're never winning those games. So
absolutely.
Yeah, that feels like the best actual control deck to play going forward. Now, will I do that? I don't know. I tell myself I try to play the best deck in the format snap from now on. I think the Lotus Field deck is actually like pretty well positioned right now, but going forward, I don't even know if blue-white actual control will be good. I know it's hard for me to say.
How dare
sacrilege, yeah. But I actually am a big fan of actual Lotus Field. I think that deck.
I am too.
Yeah, I think that deck has a really good chance of becoming the best deck in the format. As much as I hate it.
I am. So I've been playing that in paper for like the last month or so, and just like on Moto as well. But like the game, and we were talking about it in the pre-show before we, went live or whatever. And the amount of games you just win because either your opponent doesn't know what to counter, or you just turn 4. Here's the combo. Are we done here? Like it's so crazy. And I love Storm decks. F in chats for Gift Storm and Pioneer because that deck is deader than doornail. But I like that. So right now for NRG St. Louis, I think I'm between Lotus Combo or Lotus Control. And Lotus Field. Who would have thought? It's like one of my favorite cards right now.
I think it's funny that it turns out that a card that one land that makes 3 mana could be broken at any point. Like who would have thought that was possible? Yeah.
A Lotus be broken? What?
Yeah, I know. Shocking. Ancient Tomb, let's do it, but one better.
Right? Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So
I
think you're in a good position to have a good weekend if you're going to play a broken card in Lotus Field.
Yes, that card and both decks. Very, very, very powerful.
Have you played against blue-white Lotus with Lotus Field yet? With actual control, the combo version?
No.
Okay. So I played against Jola's set.
Okay.
I played against Jola's set with Lotus Field control, and he was playing Lotus Field combo. I'm like, boy, I wonder how bad this could be. And I played a Strict Proctor on 2, I think, and then he just had a Lotus Field on 2. I'm like, turns out it could be quite bad.
Wait a second. Actually, now that you just said that interaction, I have. I played it on. I played it on Moto. They go like Strict Proctor or whatever, and I'm like, I think I just won the game because they just like on turn 3, I just played my Lotus Field, hidden strings, like
killed them. Oh my god, that's awesome.
Because like I think it's like if you have 2 Lotus Fields and obviously like a payoff, it is just like not deterministic, but it's pretty good odds you're gonna win. So, and you can do that even without the trigger, or even with having to sack the lands. But like when you don't have to sacrifice lands, game over. Like it's nuts.
I told myself, like, how bad could it be if I have 1 in play and then they played 3 Lotus Fields and not having to sack any lands? I'm like, turns out it's getting worse.
Yeah. And then the way that the Lotus Control deck is configured, like there's not many counter spells really. So,
yeah, exactly.
So I'm glad you jogged my memory when you said that too. So, I think that might have been in one of my videos recently. Even.
Oh, really? So, that's hilarious.
Okay, so that is pretty much everything I wanted to talk about. Is there anything you want to touch on or anything like that?
No, I gotta get back in the lab and figure out if I'm playing the Starheim Unleashed now that you
Absolutely.
kind of put that in my brain. But yeah, I guess I'll just kind of leave us on. You can go ahead and follow me on Twitter at Mr. Toolshed, MR Toolshed_. And then on Twitch, I'll be streaming again after St. Louis, twitch.tv/MR Toolshed. Go ahead and give me a follow or sub there. Much appreciated. I will be streaming, I think after St. Louis, I'll probably just be playing One Ring decks because I think that Mana Traders or Card Hoarder has all access passes starting on Wednesday. So, or Moto does, I mean.
Yeah. So obviously for those listening and watching, all that information will be in the description below when this video goes live onto YouTube and on the podcast app. So make sure to go give him a follow on Twitter and check him out on Twitch. How often do you stream?
I'm taking a break this week, but when I was testing for Chicago, I was doing every day for about 3 hours.
Nice.
So I'll be doing that again after St. Louis, just taking a little bit of a mental breather from that. But I'm going to get back into the swing of things after St. Louis.
Awesome. Well, before we call it a podcast, so let me get this housekeeping out of the way and we'll get on out of here. Again, if you want to support the content directly, please check out patreon.com/LessAlex. Again, shout out to my 3 new patrons from this past week, Ben, Holly, Zach Haushen, and Christopher Perkins. I appreciate you all. And you can support the content for less than $1 an episode by heading over to patreon.com/LessAlex, where you'll get access to all of my paid content. There is a sideboard guide for traditional Azorius Control, as well as a standard sideboard guide for Control coming up within the next week or so. And if you want to really help out in an extremely free way, hit me up on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Give a 5-star review. It really does help the algorithm. And we are all, bound by the algorithm. Make sure to head on over there. 5-star review. It really does help out. And if you want to check out some of my other content, quietspeculation.com is the place. Like I said, I'm not going to give away what it is that I'm going to be playing and writing about this week, but go subscribe to their YouTube channel because they're growing over there. And if you want to just chop it up with me in a more casual sense, follow me on Twitter at LessAlex over there and join the Discord. It's free. It's open. Patrons do have access to a couple other channels in the Discord, but you can definitely follow me there and join the Discord. But yeah, thank you everybody. Again, thank you so much for being on. This was awesome. You're a wealth of knowledge for this deck list, so I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, whenever you want, man. I'm always happy to jump on and have a good time talking about Hallowed Fountain. I'm a Hallowed Fountain enjoyer. So
absolutely. What's your favorite art?
Oh, I'm a big signed guy, so I have Return to Ravnica double signed foil Hallowed Fountains.
I like it.
My whole deck's foil, so I have my nice signed Hallowed Fountains from Return to Ravnica. I wish I had Dissension ones, but I don't.
Yeah, the Dissension ones are beautiful.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they're oodles of money though.
Oh yeah, at least 150, I would have to say, at least.
Oh, I'm sure. I would think even more than that, but who knows? There's no way we could figure it out.
No way to know. There's no way to know. No way to know. And with that, thanks everybody. Again, thank you all. I appreciate you. Keep spreading that Azorius propaganda, everyone. And until the next time, we will catch you on the flippy flop. Adios.
See ya.